Welcome back. In this business finance lecture, we'll go over study problem 10-7 in page 337 from the 8th edition of our textbook. Here's a view of the problem. So the problem is basically about calculating the payback periods for three different projects. All three projects are independent, project A, B, and C, and the associated initial outlays and cash inflows subsequently are given in the following table. Provided that the investor has a 3-year payback threshold, you need to decide which projects should be accepted and which ones should be rejected. Let's start with the first project. So the first project requires $1,000 investment, and we are to figure how long it will take for us to recover that initial investment. Now, would 1 year be sufficient to recover our initial $1,000 spending? No, it won't. How about 2 years? 600 plus 300 is 900, still short of our initial amount. How about 3 years? Well, we realize that the total recovered in 3 years is 1100, more than our initial investment. Therefore, we need to stop on this line, and what we say is 2 years is not sufficient, but 3 years is more than sufficient. So therefore, the payback period for project A would be equal to 2 years. Recall 2 years is not enough, but 3 years is more than enough, so it would be 2 years and several months. How many months? So now we need to focus exclusively on the third year. So at the end of 2 years, we still are $100 short. So how long will it take us to recover that remaining $100, given that we can make $200 during the whole year or during the whole 12 months? If in 12 months we can make $200, it would take us just a mere 6 months to recover the rest of our initial investment. So that would be the payback period for project A. Now we can apply a similar logic to projects B and C as well, right? So let me just scroll down slightly. Okay, there we go. So the payback period for project B would be equal to, let's do the same logic. So the project B requires an initial investment of $10,000. 1 year is not sufficient. 2 years aggregate, we accumulate $8,000, still not sufficient. How about 3 years? So the combined cash flows in 3 years would be $11,000, so more than sufficient. So 2 years is not sufficient, but 3 years is more than sufficient. So therefore we should say 2 years and several months. So we need to figure how many months. So in 2 years we can recover $8,000, so we're still short of $2,000. So if during a whole year, during the whole third year, we can extract $3,000 of cash flows, how long will it take us until we recover the remaining $2,000? So a simple logic will tell us the solution, obviously. If 12 months is sufficient to, if in 12 months we can earn $3,000, necessarily in how many months we can earn $2,000? So that the answer would be obviously 8 months, right? So in 8 months we can make the remaining $2,000. One way to see that 8 months, let me make a side note here, is to visualize that the remaining amount was $2,000, and you can simply divide it by what can be made during the whole year, and then you can multiply this by 12. So you would see that it would be 8 months, and so that 8 is entered right here. Similarly, in the previous case, we realized that the remaining amount was $100, and the amount that can be made during the whole third year was 200, and you multiply this by 12. Again, you can see that the answer would be 6 months, and there we go. Okay, now last part. So for project, so the payback period for project C is equal to, now let's apply the same logic. The initial outlay for project C is $5,000, and we can see that 1 year would not be enough, 2 years again not enough, 3 years we can accumulate $4,000, still not enough, but 4 years is more than enough. So therefore we start with 3 years, and how many months? Blank months. So let's apply our newly acquired formula. So in 3 years we so far accumulate $4,000, but in year 4 we still have a remaining $1,000. So what we say is 1,000 divided by what can be gained in year 4 times 12. So we realize that the answer would be 6 months. So therefore I plug in that 6 right over here. So we pretty much calculated the payback period for all 3 projects. Now the question is, which ones are acceptable given the fact that the threshold is 3 years. So because we can recover our initial investment in less than 3 years for project A is definitely acceptable. The same way with project B, acceptable. However, project C has a problem. We need to recover our investment within 3 years, but in the case of project C, that's more than 3 years. So as such, we basically reject project C. So bottom line, project A and B are acceptable, but project C is to be rejected. Okay, so that would be the end of our solution. Hope you enjoyed this lecture, and I'll see you guys again in our next video.